There are many ways in which a property purchase can be structured, and there are many legitimate things to consider. In this vidcast, I'm going to be looking at buying property as a sole tenant. Where a property is owned solely by one person, the income flows to that one person, and so do the taxation benefits. If this person takes a trip to inspect the property and happens to take a spouse or companion, only those costs relating to the owner's trip and only those relating to the property can be claimed. When the property is sold, all capital gains tax liabilities fall to the sole owner. A person buying a property in his or her own name cannot subsequently income split with a spouse or any other person. This can only occur if some other structure, such as a trust or a business structure, buys the property. Under these circumstances, other taxation treatments may also change. When should you consider sole ownership? Obviously, if you don't have a partner, you'll be buying alone. But if you do, then you would buy a property in one name only if one party earns a substantially higher income than the other and the property uses negative gearing principles to provide a positive cash flow. That is, the cash flow comes from those on-paper deductions. This is because positive cash flow property comes as a result of receiving tax back, and you want to get as much tax back as you can, so you'll buy the investment in the name of the person who pays the most tax. Where the cash flow is the result of positive gearing instead, and tax deductions do not eliminate the profits, then you'll want to buy the property in the name of the person with the lowest income. Positive gearing results in tax to be paid, so you'd want the person paying tax at the lowest rate to own the investment. While the benefits are that all of the income, and therefore all of the tax benefits, flow to just one party, the drawback can be that the party without ownership may feel vulnerable in the case of a separation or divorce. In most states, family law determines that all assets of married or de facto people are jointly owned for the purposes of a property settlement anyway, overriding any legal ownership. It's also important that you ensure that your financial circumstances aren't going to change in the future. Will the higher income earner remain so for the life of this investment, or is it just a short-term situation? If it's a short-term situation, joint ownership may be better for the long term, even if you lose some benefits in the short term. Borrowing as a sole owner. When you borrow as a sole owner, you need to prove that you can satisfy income criteria on your own. If you need a spouse's income to help you qualify, but you don't want the spouse to be a joint owner, then some lenders will allow the spouse to become a guarantor for borrowing purposes. Now, generally, this will only be allowed where there's a personal relationship between the parties and a clear benefit to the guarantor can be demonstrated. While the word guarantor strikes fear into the hearts of many people, don't worry. The responsibilities of a guarantor vary little from those of a borrower. If you're truly worried that your spouse may run off to Rio with another person, then I have to say you've got more important things to consider than whether to become a guarantor or not. As with all things, it's a good idea to take advice from an accountant before you sign on the dotted line of any purchase contract. Once you're signed and unconditional, you can't get out of that contract and you can't change the entity who's buying it. Check before you buy to make sure you avoid what could be a costly mistake. I know you'd love to buy an investment property, but finding the time to do it the right way is almost impossible. That's why we created Property Match. Born from 25 years of Australia-wide investing experience, Property Match uses multiple data points and machine learning to match you with the property most suited to your circumstances. Get back to what you want to do with your spare time and let your next investment property find you. Head to mypropertymatch.com.au to find out more.